Hey you guys, so today's video is going to be a tutorial on the look that I'm wearing right now. It's kind of just like a really bright green, but kind of dark at the same time, smoky eye. I've been getting quite a few requests lately to do something like a little bit more neon or vivid for spring. I was gonna say spring, but I guess it's summer now. And then I've also gotten some requests to do more green, so I figured this would be the perfect way to do both together. And then I'm also using mostly Kat Von D products because I did do those 3 videos on my favorite Kat Von D products and swatches and stuff like that, so I wanted to use as much as I could in a tutorial for you guys so you can see how I like to use them. So I'm just gonna get right into the tutorial. Let's do it. So to prime my eyes, I'm just going to use my color correcting eyeshadow primer in the color Fair. This is basically what I use every single day. It's my favorite primer. I'm just applying this all over my lid and up to my brow and blending it out with my finger as per usual. Before I go in with the shadow, I'm just going to take a translucent loose setting powder and just apply this really lightly from my crease up to my brow bone so the crease colors have a little bit of something to blend over the top of. So I'm starting out with Electric Warrior, which is this really bright kind of citrusy green. It's one of my favorite eyeshadows, I think, by Kat Von D. I'm going to take this on a Smith 247 blending brush and I'm just going to start blending this into the crease. And I'm just using a little bit at a time and making sure to really blend that out and upwards, because when you're using these in the crease, it can kind of sometimes be a little bit hard to blend them out. So I'm just going in steps, adding a little bit at a time until it's really nice and blended out. Of course I have a zit right here. The day that I want to film a tutorial, I get a zit on my eye. That's perfect. Now I'm taking Iggy, which is this darker green. It kind of reminds me of an evergreen type color. And I'm going to apply this with the Smith 253. And I'm just going to start patting this all over the lid, making sure that I go up to the crease so the two colors meet. And I'm really just packing this onto the lid. I didn't spray my brush with Fix Plus or anything. I just went right into the eyeshadow. And I'm just going to apply this from the outer corner of my lid all the way about 2/3 in, so I'm leaving that inner third blank. Now I'm going to go in with Thrasher, which is this dark gold, and I'm going to apply this using the other side of the Smith brush so I don't have to use 2 brushes. And once again, going to blend it all the way up to the crease, and then once I get to the top of the crease, I'm going to extend that gold a little bit more towards the center than the bottom of the gold, just so it kind of has like a unique shape to it. And then to blend the gold in with the green, I'm just going to flip the brush back and forth, the green side and the gold side, and just kind of pat the two together until they blend. And usually once I get the lid colors done, I like to go back to the crease and just add a little bit more of that crease color just to make sure that all of the shadows blend in together really seamlessly. Now I'm going to go into my Interstellar palette and I'm just going to grab this matte black up here. I just wanted to grab something that's matte instead of metallic for this part, so I'm just going to grab that on a small pencil brush and just lightly stamp this into the outer corner in a V shape. I just felt like this look needed a little bit more darkness and dimension to it. And then I'm taking my Cosette S185 blending brush. It's got no product on it at all. I'm just going to use this to blend out that black a little bit more into the crease color. And then if I lose too much color, I'm just going to go back in with the black and that Cosette brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit more and blend it as I go. So moving on to liner, I'm going to take my ink liner in Trooper Classic, one of my favorite liquid liners. Just going to do a pretty medium to thick wing, so I'm going to start in the outer corner and trace that wing shape, and then I'm just going to bring that all the way into the lid and start filling it in as I go. I'm going to move on to mascara now, and I'm using the Kat Von D Immortal Lash Mascara for the first time. The wand is a little weird to get used to just because it's shaped kind of strangely, but I really like it. And then to line my tight line, I'm going to use my J-Cat Beauty Rocker Chic Velvet Touch Waterproof Gel Eyeliner in the color Back in Black. This is one of my favorite new pencils to line the tight line with just because it's so soft. The lashes I'm wearing are the Vegas Nay Grand Glamour, and once I get them kind of situated on my lash line, I like to go in with the tweezers and go along my lash line and kind of squeeze them in with my natural lashes. Okay, so I'm going to take a break from my eyes for a second, and I'm going to move on to my face before I finish up the lower lash line and all that stuff. So I'm going to go in with my Lock-It Featherweight Primer by Kat Von D. This is something that I've only used once before, so this is my second time using it. I've heard so many great things about this primer. I'm just not really a primer person for whatever reason. I feel like most of the time if I use a primer it doesn't really do much for my face, but I guess we'll see. I'm just going to pump out about 1 pump and just apply this all over my face. I have a green mustache right now. I'm so glad I realized that now before I started putting on foundation. Okay, I'm just going to move right into the foundation now, and I'm going to be using my Kat Von D Lock-It Foundation in the shade Light 45. It's a little bit too dark though, so I like to mix it with a white foundation base, which is the NYX Pro Foundation Mixer. Basically, I just add about 1 pump of foundation and then that much or so of the mixer, and then I blend it out and see if I need to add more. I do want to try the Manic Panic one though, just because I've heard so many good things about that one, and a lot of people have been telling me to try it, so I think when I run out of the NYX one, I will try that one for sure. And with this Kat Von D foundation, I really like it, but it is a little bit on the thick side, so I absolutely have to apply it with a beauty blender. I can't just go in with a brush because it'll be too cakey on my face. So I like that the beauty blender kind of helps to soak up any of the excess foundation. This foundation is pretty good at covering up any blemishes though, which is nice because when I use this, at least I don't feel like I have to pile on the concealer afterwards, because that would just be like way too thick. Also, I re-dyed my hair yesterday, and if you see any redness or purple on my skin, that's why. Alright, moving on to concealer. I don't have any concealer by Kat Von D, so I'm just going to take my Hard Candy Glamouflage, and this is like the palest of the pale when it comes to concealers, trust me. Just going to dab a little bit under my eyes and blend it out with my beauty blender. Now I'm also just going to continue highlighting my face with this, so I'm going to apply a little bit down my nose, and then just a little bit on my forehead. And then to conceal any blemishes, I like to go in with my Tarte Rainforest of the Sea concealer in the shade Fair. This one matches my skin better, so obviously that's better for spot concealing. And I never really get my blemishes perfectly covered up, but I don't really care, to be honest. Nobody's perfect, so I'd rather just have them showing through a little bit than to have to wear like 5 pounds of concealer. So when I wear this foundation, I like to keep the setting powder pretty light. So I'm going to go in with my Shiro Cosmetics Fatality Finishing Powder. It's just a white translucent. And I'm going to take this on the Real Techniques setting brush, Duo Fiber Contour Brush, just kidding. And I'm going to apply this right underneath my eyes. And also going to use this to set my laugh lines, just to help prevent any creasing that might or probably will happen. I also don't have a contour by Kat Von D, so I'm just going to use one of my favorites. This is Do Your Research Powder by Shiro Cosmetics. I've used it a lot before, but in case you haven't seen it, oh! Knew that was going to happen. Why did I do that? This is just a really perfect natural gray toned contour, which is something that I really like because it looks a little bit more natural on me than like a super warm toned contour. And I'm just applying this with the Smith 112 to my cheekbones, and also blending it up to my temple area and across my hairline. And then also just a little bit underneath my jaw. But I'm going to skip the nose because I never contour my nose. For a highlight, I'm going to use Thunderstruck. I'm so excited, you guys. I've honestly been looking for this in stores for like 6 months and it's never stocked. And then Kat Von D sent this to me, so I'm so excited. Apparently, at least my local Sephora's would not stock this because it got stolen so often, which is crazy to me. So I'm just taking this on a fan brush. Okay, this is pretty nice. I can see this looking really, really good on pretty much every skin tone. It doesn't really pull off too much white on your face. It almost looks a little more golden when you apply it. And it's a lot more subtle than I thought it was going to be. But it is really nice. I really like it. I also don't own any Kat Von D blushes, so I think I'm going to use Tiger Lily by Becca, which looks kind of intimidating, but it's actually really, really pretty and flattering on pale skin. I'm just taking the tiniest amount and just kind of dabbing it onto my cheek and then blending it in. It's not super orange when you apply it like how it looks in the packaging, which is nice because I was kind of afraid it was going to be that orange, but no, it just kind of adds like a nice bronzy, healthy glow. Okay, so now I have to figure out what I'm going to do with my lower lash line. I have no idea. So I'm going to start out with Electric Warrior on the Cosette brush, and I'm going to blend that all the way underneath my lower lash line from the outer corner all the way to the inner corner. Now I'm taking Iggy on that Smith 253, and I'm going to apply this with the side of the brush all the way up near my lower lashes, not extending it down as far as Electric Warrior, so some of that bright green still shows through. For the waterline, I'm going to use this green eye pencil by NYX. It's called Esmeralda. If you want to use something like black instead, if you don't want to use too much green, you can just go ahead and do that. And I wanted to add a little bit more darkness to the lower lash line, so I'm taking the black again and just stamping it along the outer third or so, and then blending it up to the wing. And then just going to go in really quickly with one more coat of mascara to my lower lashes. And then last thing we got to do is add some Thunderstruck to the inner corner, and I'm just using my pinky and then blending it out with the Real Techniques shading brush. And then moving on to the lips, the last step, I'm going to use my Rocker Chic Velvet Touch Waterproof Gel Lip Liner by J-Cat Beauty. This is in the color So Fawn of You. And I'm just using this to outline my lips before I go in with the Kat Von D Bow and Arrow Everlasting Liquid Lipstick. Alright you guys, so that is it for the look. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Also let me know what you want me to do next in a tutorial. Thanks for watching and I will see you in my next video. Bye. I wave so weird. What is this? Jazz hands?